Welcome to Late Mornings with Leah. I'm your host, and today we have co-associate principal Jane Matter.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, so we have a few pictures up here. Do you want to explain them?
Okay, so I was asked to prepare these. So these are just pictures of things I love and some of the things we love doing. So I love to run. I have admittedly not done much of that since I got hired in this new position. So that's actually like a big goal of mine to start running more again. But that's me after I did the Milwaukee Half Marathon. That is one of my former co-teachers, Miss Price and me. We are good friends, and we both saw Wicked on opening night and are obsessed with it. So that's us in our matching Wicked shirts. And then I have my family. I'm the oldest of 4 girls. So those are my sisters, my mom, and me. And then that's my husband, Sam. He's a hurdle coach here at Pewaukee. And our daughters, Greta and Quinn, at Green Meadows Farm. It's like one of our favorite places to go. And then that is my sisters, my mom, my aunt, and all of our kids. It actually is recent. It's from this past weekend. Every deer hunting weekend every year, we actually do like a girls' weekend and go to the zoo and do a bunch of fun exploring like that. So just a few of the things I love a lot. I didn't have any camping pictures up there because I had printer problems, but we love camping and stuff too. So
yes. Do you want to tell us a little about yourself and like your teaching and all that?
Mm-hmm. So I taught English for 13 years before becoming an associate principal. I taught at Kettle Moraine High School for 10 of those years, and then here for 3 years before moving into this role. I really love teaching English. I sort of taught like every English subject imaginable except for creative writing. Like that is the one thing I never really touched. But I taught like sci-fi, composition, all the English 9 through 12s, a lot of American Lit, AP Lang. And then I did a lot of like fun classes that were actually interdisciplinary. So like I would teach with a science teacher, and we called it Science Media Lit and Debate. So we actually did science class topics, but we put literature and English curriculum into it. And then I worked with a social studies teacher, sort of doing the same thing with history content and some government content. So I've really taught like every English thing under the sun except for creative writing. And that's honestly not something like I love to creatively write, but I didn't really need to touch that. Like that wasn't something I needed to do.
Is there a reason why you wanted to be an English teacher?
Honestly, I always knew I was going to be a teacher. In second grade, my teacher noticed like that it was just something I really liked doing. So she started sending me home with like worksheets and all these other things that I could play school with. And I would spend hours in my parents' basement, like making seating charts and like setting name cards up for people and stuff. And like putting like a girl that was mean to me at school that day, like next to a boy that I didn't really like or something. Like I would, sometimes be malicious with my school play, but it was fun. So I always like since second grade knew I was going to be a teacher. And when I went to college, I actually was a social studies major. And then I went from being a social studies major to a special ed major, then to an English major. So I always knew I was going to teach. I just didn't know exactly what. And then English wound up being like the perfect curriculum for me.
Yeah. What inspired you to want to become the vice principal?
I think that like naturally in life, we all are continuously growing and evolving and looking for maybe our next thing, the next way we can have an impact on other people. And ultimately, like I taught and I wanted to be in education because I wanted to have a positive influence on other people. And I started to think about with my like informal leadership and just who I am as a person, if moving into a more formal leadership position would make sense for both my family as well as the school and me. Like I want to make sure I'm influencing the most people I can in a positive way. And moving into this role, I wanted to really see if that's a way I could have that best impact. So it sort of seemed like the next step for me in my career, especially for my family. It sort of actually provided us a little more balance. So I moved into it because of that, I guess.
Do you miss being a teacher?
Yes, very much. I miss being a teacher, not because I don't like the work of an associate principal. Like I really love being an associate principal. But in my classroom, I was able to forge such close connections with students. And those became like sort of lasting connections. Like when I first started here, this year's seniors were all freshmen, and I taught only freshmen that year. So they sort of like became my people. And now this year it's their senior year and I'm in this new role. So I don't like have a classroom for people to like come to anymore, or for us to connect as much, which is honestly probably good for all of us. Like it's very hard for me because I miss all of them very much. And I know that that would have just continued with more and more students. But sometimes we grow almost dependent on each other, or like I would carry my love and my worries for them home with me so much. And I think that this new role has provided me with a little bit of that emotional distance too, that like makes me sad and miss people, but also it's like, okay, this is probably
Like
good.
more of a healthier balance.
Exactly, especially for the fam. So
Yeah.
it's good.
What was the transition like going from teacher to vice principal?
I guess like I would say pretty smooth. I am always like I'm someone that does better busy. And I started teaching at Pewaukee so that I could spend more time with my family. But then I was like, well, I'll get my master's in leadership. So then I went back to school. So that kept me busy. And then I was like, well, now I'm going to be an associate principal. And that kept me busy too. So like, it's been a pretty smooth transition just because I like to and thrive sort of being busy. I would say one of the things I've loved about the transition too is like ingratiating my daughters more in the Pewaukee community. Like they loved coming to football games and like being in the fan section and going up by the senior girls up front and stuff. Like they really love that kind of stuff. So actually involving my kids in the Pewaukee community more has been really nice.
Do they go to Pewaukee?
No, they go to a private school in Waukesha, and we live out in Waukesha. But like that is something that you continue to think about, especially if this is going to be a role that I stick with for a while.
Do you have any memorable moments that you experienced with a student that just like stick out to you?
Yeah, I think that when I like previewed some of the questions you might ask, I was thinking about like, okay, what one do I pick? My Pewaukee one, I guess, would be, I talked about this year's seniors and how I've been close with them since their freshman year. Freshman year, one of them, like, there was this 3rd-hour class I had, and they all know who they are, and they were just shysters in class. And like, it was a hard behavior class as a teacher, but like they were also my people. So I actually challenged one of them to a race at the end of the school year, and like we all went out to the track, and like I dressed obnoxiously, and like we just raced. And it was so fun because it was like a community building thing that like wasn't school or curriculum driven. And I think that's just so important because I think like so often we come to school and it's like, okay, sit down, learn for 85 minutes, go to your next class, learn for 8. And like, yes, we need to learn curriculum in school, but like that's not what school's about. School's about community and like having fun. And that was just a moment for me that was fun, but also for like a group of students that I'm not sure innately all of them were like, yay, school. I think some of them were like, oh, school. But then we got to have that moment together, and I know we were all excited about that moment. Like for me, that was a really fun time. But there are so many, like, oh.
Is there any like funny moments in class?
I mean, endless ones. Like honestly, that race, I once got highlighters for students to like annotate with as we were going through like the rhetorical appeals, and I had them like on tables in nice containers, like preparing for their learning, and it just dissolved into everyone like putting highlighters into their hair for the rest of the class period. Students towering Romeo and Juliet books as high as they could go. We would do like wall sit competitions, things like that in class. They're really like, there's so many stories to tell, but I'm not sure all of them are like the ones that I want in this recording. Like, a lot's gone down in room 214, but in a fun way. And like always, like every story I have to tell during my time at Pewaukee is really rooted in that first group of students I taught, and that really means a lot to me.
What do you have to do as the co-associate principal? Because I know the job is split into 2 different people.
Yeah.
So like, what is your part in that?
So I'm responsible for the freshmen and juniors, whether that be supporting them if they're going through a hard time, or whether that be assigning them a detention because they skipped resource. They're really like freshmen and junior class are going to be my people until they graduate. So like I'll always have the even years graduating years, and Miss Hanson will always have the odd graduating years, and we'll just travel with those students throughout as sort of their like support person in the building. Miss Hanson, Mr. Sniff, and I all sort of broke up what different departments we have teacher-wise for like supervision, evaluation, and supportive staff. So I have the English teachers, the insight teachers, some special ed teachers, things like that. And then there's other things behind the scenes that we do. So like Miss Hanson's in charge of things like parking, some of our like intervention supports. Our school district has a care team. She's in charge of that. But then I'm in charge of like the safety drills. It's another thing under my jurisdiction. I support as I said, insight teachers, but just some of the insight programming, even though Miss Plock is like the insight person, I just at the high school here, I'm someone that can support insight. And then the grading systems here at the high school, like standards-based grading, how that works, that's under my jurisdiction too. So really just supporting staff and students as best as we can. And like, it's fascinating. I never thought like, I knew in my classroom day-to-day things were different, but like, man, the things that like really just come up out of nowhere that are different every single day is like, okay, we're doing this today. So that's been fun to learn too.
Yeah. We're going to move on to the challenge.
I'm so ready.
So I'm going to be reading quotes, and it'll either be from a Taylor Swift song or Shakespeare things. And you get bonus points if you tell me what the song is or what the player's sonnet is.
I know so little about Taylor Swift, but I'm hoping Shakespeare will be fine.
Okay. First one.
Okay.
Lord, what will become of me once I've lost my novelty? Do you want me to read it again?
No.
Okay. Yeah. Taylor Swift.
Whew. I have no idea what's on.
Okay. It's Nothing New from Red.
Sounds great.
Okay.
I really have zero Taylor Swift knowledge. I'm sorry to all of the Taylor Swift people out there.
We know okay.
I'm ready.
Word vomit. Okay. We know what we are, but know not what we may be.
Let's go with Shakespeare.
That is correct. Do you know what it's from?
Is it from a sonnet?
No.
What is it from?
It's from Hamlet.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, we're not going to talk about it.
Okay. Your faithless love's the only hoax I believe in. Correct. It is Taylor Swift.
Thank you.
Yes.
I have no idea the song.
Okay. Do you miss the rogue who coaxed you into paradise and left you there?
A rogue. I feel like a rogue is something Shakespearean, but then like paradise feels like something Taylor Swift would talk about. I'm going with T-Swizzle.
You are correct once again. So far, you're 4 for 4.
Thank you.
Okay. Past the curses and cries, beyond the terror in the nightfall. Incorrect. That is Taylor Swift.
What song?
Happiness, Evermore.
Okay.
Most of these are from Folklore and Evermore.
Okay. Again, that means nothing to me.
Okay. In black ink, my love may still shine bright.
I mean, let's just...
Yes, it is Shakespeare. It's from a sonnet.
Okay.
Sonnet 65.
Okay.
Don't know what that means. Okay. How can it be said I am alone when all the world is here to look on me? It is Shakespeare. It's from A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Oh my gosh, I taught that the last 2 years. Okay, it's fine.
Okay. I'd meet you where the spirit meets the bone in a faith forgotten land.
Now I'm just doubting myself so much.
It is Taylor Swift.
Oh, thank goodness.
Okay. Speak low if you speak love. That is Shakespeare. Do you know what it's from?
No.
Much Ado About Nothing. Okay. And yet, to say the truth, reason and love keep little company together nowadays. It is Shakespeare.
Yes.
A Midsummer Night's Dream.
I taught it the last 2 years. I should have known the other one too.
last question.
Ready?
I think you've gotten 2 wrong.
Yeah.
You're doing good though.
Thank you.
Okay. Now you hang from my lips like the gardens of Babylon. That is Taylor Swift.
Okay. Sounded like something she would say.
Yes.
I honestly don't know. But
You did good.
thank you so much.
And your prize, you can either have all of them.
Jane, matter of fact, I love Reese's. If anyone ever wants to bribe me, Reese's and coffee.
You hear it here, folks. You want to get out of its attention? Reese's and coffee.
Not going to work, but also just give them to me anyway.
Okay.
Awesome.
It's a great day to be a pirate.